Have you ever felt like you're just spinning your wheels? You're constantly busy, trying new habits, new life hacks, but nothing really seems to stick for long. Well, according to Stephen R. Covey, the problem isn't your effort, it's your whole approach. So let's dig into why our quick fixes are so often doomed to fail. Does this sound familiar? It's that nagging feeling, right? You're swamped. You're ticking off the to-do list, meeting deadlines, but you get to the end of the day and wonder, what was that all for? Is any of this actually adding up to something that matters? Or hey, maybe it's something a little closer to home, a relationship that didn't crash and burn, it just kind of fizzled out. The connection's gone, and it feels like no amount of date nights or quick fixes can bring back that spark you used to have. And wow, this one hits hard for so many of us. That endless cycle of making a promise to yourself and then breaking it. You have the desire, you've got all the information, you even start with a great attitude, but the follow-through just evaporates. It leaves you feeling frustrated and totally stuck. See, these aren't just surface-level problems. They're deep, and they're painful. So what's going on here? Well, according to Covey, all of these failures point back to one fundamental mistake. We're all caught in what he calls the quick fix trap, constantly searching for a simple tip or a life hack to solve what's actually a much, much deeper problem. Covey says this all goes back to a huge cultural shift. For the past 100 years or so, self-help has been all about what he calls the personality ethic. Think about it. It's about your public image, communication techniques, just having a positive attitude. It's all about looking good. But this totally ignores the foundation, which he calls the character ethic. That's about who you actually are on the inside, your integrity, your humility, your sense of fairness. And this quote just nails it. We're all trying to get the fruits, the happy relationships, the success, the peace of mind, but we haven't done the work of planting the roots of a solid character. Covey's point is absolutely crucial. You have to win the victory inside yourself first before you can ever hope to win with other people. Okay, so if our entire approach is flawed, where does that flawed approach even come from? Covey's big idea here is that it's not about what we do, it's about how we see the world. It all comes down to the mental maps we're using. He calls these maps our paradigms. A paradigm is basically the lens through which you see everything. It's your theory, your model of how things work. Now, it's not reality itself, it's just your perception of it. And just like a physical map, it can be super useful, or it can be completely disastrously wrong. This is such a brilliant analogy. Just imagine it. You're trying to find your way around Chicago, but you've been given a map of Detroit. You could have the best attitude in the world. You could run faster, try harder, be more positive than anyone. But it won't matter. If you have the wrong map, all your effort will do is get you to the wrong place faster. So here is the absolute key takeaway. If you're struggling, if you feel stuck, the issue might not be your behavior. It might not even be your attitude. The real fundamental problem might just be the map you're using. You're trying to solve a problem with a totally flawed understanding of the situation. Covey tells this incredible story that shows what a paradigm shift feels like in real time. So he's on a quiet subway in New York. It's peaceful. Then this man gets on with his kids, and they are just completely out of control, yelling, throwing things, disturbing everyone. And the father, he just sits there, eyes closed, doing nothing. So Covey's paradigm, his map, is telling him this guy is an insensitive, irresponsible parent. He's getting more and more irritated. Finally, after managing to stay patient, he leans over and says this. And boom, in that one sentence, everything changes. Covey's entire map gets redrawn in an instant. All the irritation just vanishes, and it's replaced with a flood of compassion. His paradigm shifted. He suddenly saw the exact same situation through a completely new lens, and his feelings and behavior changed automatically. The problem was never the man's behavior, it was Covey's perception. So, if our maps, our paradigms, can be so wrong, what are we supposed to do? What should we be aligning them with? How do we find the true north that can actually guide us? The answer, Covey says, lies in principles. Now, these are not the same as values, which can be flawed. Principles are like natural laws. They're like gravity. You can't argue with them. They just exist. We're talking about things like fairness, integrity, honesty. They are the territory itself, not just a map of it. And to really drive this point home, he tells another great story. A massive battleship is out on maneuvers in a storm. The captain sees a light ahead, on a direct collision course. He gets on the radio and signals, "Change your course 20 degrees." The reply comes back, You change your course 20 degrees. The captain is furious. He gets back on the radio and yells, "I am a battleship. Change course now." And the simple final reply comes back, "I'm a lighthouse." The battleship, with all its power, had to change course. You see, you can't break a principle, just like you can't break a lighthouse. You can only break yourself against it. This makes the difference between principles and values crystal clear. Values are our personal maps. They're subjective. I mean, a gang of thieves can share the value of loyalty to each other, right? But they're violating universal principles like honesty and fairness. Our goal should be to align our map, our values, with the territory, those unchanging principles. Okay, so this brings us to the core strategy for actually putting these ideas to work. And it's a complete reversal of how most of us try to change our lives. You know, most of us operate from an outside-in paradigm. We think the problem is always out there. It's my annoying boss, my unsupportive partner, the bad economy. If they would just change, then I'd be happy. But the inside-out approach flips that on its head. It says real change starts from within. It starts with us, with our paradigms, our character, and our motives. All right, one last powerful metaphor from Covey that really helps us understand true effectiveness. It's about finding a critical balance that our quick fix world totally ignores. We all know this fable, right? It's the perfect illustration of what Covey calls the P/PC balance. P stands for production. That's the golden eggs, the results we want. PC stands for production capability. That's the goose, the asset that actually produces those results. True effectiveness is about balancing both. If you get greedy and focus only on the golden eggs, you neglect the goose that lays them, and eventually you end up with neither. And really, this is the bottom line. This is the big idea. The reason our quick fixes keep failing is because we're always hacking away at the leaves, the behaviors and the attitudes. But we never get to the root of the issue. And the root is our paradigm. It's the fundamental way we see the problem in the first place. So the question I want to leave you with is this. In that one area of your life where you feel the most stuck, what map are you using? And is it possible that it's the wrong map entirely?